to another recap of The Bachelorette. This week, they are in Prague, in the Czech Republic. And next week is the hugest week. It's a hugie. It's hometown dates. She's got to actually meet their families. It was kind of conflicting this week. At one point she was like, I'm so excited to meet their families. I hope they like me. And then she was like, I don't do that. I don't meet families.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
It was a little weird. This week, 3 one-on-one dates with no roses and 1 group date with 1 rose. So you do the math. That means there's 3 chumps on the group date and only one of them's getting a rose. But it's a guarantee that she's gonna meet their families, as freakish as they may be. So it's date card time. Ari gets the first date. Let's check out Prague. And I'm sure it was spelled C-Z-E-C-H.
It was.
Okay. They get some hot wine, and all this girl wants to do is make out. But she's a little apprehensive because Ari's got a secret. She knows about it, but he doesn't know she know. So, Chris Harrison does a little aside. Full disclosure, guys, our producer, Cassie Lambert, dated Ari for about 5 minutes 10 million years ago. And Emily's freaking out. She feels like an idiot. Wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
So, excuse me, Emily, have you told Ari about everyone that you've ever made out with, even on the show? I mean, you've probably made out with a guy like 5 seconds before you made out with him. Don't you think he should know who he's tasting in his mouth?
Stop. I hope they walk around with hand sanitizer and mouthwash at all times.
They should be wearing full body condoms, for crying out loud. Alright, so she's a total snake in the grass during this first date. She totally set him up. She
was like a lawyer for a minute there.
Did you see the smirk on her face? You know, oh yeah, loyalty? You know about loyalty? You touched the dog, didn't you? Alright, so then, of course, Chris Harrison comes back and is all like, well, guys, sorry we didn't catch this on camera. It happened off camera. But everything's great now. P.S. Everything's great. Let's all make out. Alright, so, meanwhile, back at the hotel, the date card arrives, and we find out it's for John. And in Prague, all you need is love. So, back on the date, Ari tells her he loves her. She's happy. They make out. There's fireworks. The end. Alright, so, date with John. He is a slow starter. He's one of those ones, yeah, boring. So they try and liven it up a little bit. They go to the John Lennon wall there, and the lock fence, and his lock wouldn't work. Who gave her that lock that was hard to work? Production. It's all leading up to bye-bye, but we're not there yet. Back at the hotel, Chris is freaking out. Because that's what he does.
He's good at it.
Oh, he is a freaking wreck. She should have just dumped him day 1. Because he's so plastic. Alright, dinner in the dungeon with John. He thinks he did great. His last girlfriend cheated on him with a doctor dude. Who says that? Oh, yeah.
Not just cheated. She, like, disappeared for days, didn't she?
Yeah, and turned off her phone with doctor dude. Well, that makes Emily sad, because she's going to have to break his heart yet again. Then he starts going on and on and on, telling her that he can't wait for her to meet his family, that his mother is just like her. Believe me, kids, the last thing any girl wants to hear is that she's just like his mother. Does she make out with everyone too?
She makes out with everyone.
I feel bad
like
for his father.
On Saturday Night Live where they all make out.
That's right. Alright, so back at the hotel, date card arrives for the group date, and we find out that Jeff is getting the last one-on-one date, which means Chris is upset, to say the least, but he's not the only one who's upset. But wait, the dates, let's find our happily ever after. But Sean is really freaking out as well. Chris just sits there and freaks out and shakes like a freak, but Sean goes running out of the hotel. What was he thinking?
That was so weird. No way that could have happened. He tracked her down.
He went out in the streets yelling, "Emily! Emily, I could smell you. Where are you?" What a freak. But the freakish thing is that he finds her standing in the alley alone.
Finds her in an alley alone. Where was... I mean, she has no kind of security, no production people around. Where? In a strange city in Europe, I don't know. That didn't make any sense.
So she's like, "Oh, hi. I didn't expect to see you here. No S." All right, so they duck into a bar. They're sitting there making out in front of the whole place.
Oh, they were making out in the alleyway, in the bar.
He pushed her up against the wall. They made out there. She better watch out for Jack the freaking Ripper. Oh, my God. All right, so she was happy that he showed up, though. So it's group date time at the old castle. And Doug, well, we find out that he's asexual. She's not happy about this whole situation because she likes to make out and he don't put out. Awkward, awkward, awkward. They're standing there talking. She's giving him the heave-ho, and what does he do? He, like, starts making out with her, and she's like, eh?
Surprising, I know.
Too little, too late. He didn't put out. She don't like it. P.S. He gets sent home. And he cried. She made him cry like a little 2-year-old baby. You know what? He just belongs at home with his kid. He should just hang it up. Alright, so the 3-on-1 becomes a 2-on-1. Tell me she's not used to that. Look away, look away. I didn't just say that. Alright, so her and Sean have a secret now. Jeez, isn't that what she just got pissed at Ari for?
Yes.
Having a secret? Well, they go and make out against the wall. That seems to be their favorite spot.
I think what happens in Prague stays in Prague.
Not if it's filmed on the Bachelorette. Alright, so date card for Jeff. This is your chance to pull on my heartstrings. Alright, so Chris...
It sounds like it would hurt.
Yeah. Chris is freaking out. He confronts her and is like, "Why didn't I get a date?" He's such a freak. He's like
He's a little
Jake.
high-strung.
He's like Jake Pavelka, but like not. Alright, so Sean gets the rose. The whole thing was awkward because Chris is just sitting there shaking. Like...
He also kind of like threatened violence in his little...
Well, in his asides.
Yeah.
"You don't want to be around me if I don't get a rose.
It's very weird.
If I don't get a hometown." Yeah, trouble. Alright, so let's go to Jeff's date. Let's get this Chris taste out of our mouths. This was the funnest date of this episode. They went to a marionette store, and they picked out marionettes, and...
I don't know. I think it was a little weird.
I thought it was really cool that Jeff went back and got a Ricky doll, even though he did steal it. He did have to spend the night in jail. Just kidding. Alright, so they go to the library, and you said what? What did it remind you of?
Oh, the library from Beauty and the Beast.
So romantic. Oh, but he is such a duh. He is such a skater dude. Is he all there?
He seems a little immature.
He seems very immature, but he is such a sweet guy. But it's like this irony. Alright, so then they had a whole show me on the doll where the bad men touched you.
No, they didn't.
Then he's like, "I think we should get a..." They had this weird puppet show, and he's like, "I think we should get a dog together." And she was like, "Alright, let's get a cat together." Shows me right away it's not going to work out.
It's a big difference, dog and cat.
I know. They're really cute together, but I don't think it's going to work out because he's kind of immature.
And he's a dog guy.
Not in a bad way, just too immature for her. Yeah, and he's a dog guy. But he wants to marry the shit out of her. And he said something else bad too, but I couldn't figure out what that was.
She giggled at that.
Oh, she liked that. I think it had to do with a wall. All right, so little chat with Chris Harrison. She reveals no cocktail party this week. My mind's made up. And John's pretty confident. He was confident the whole episode.
Yeah, that was kind of a clue.
Yeah. You know, do the math. It's rose ceremony time. Of course Jeff gets the first rose, because he had the best date. And then Ari, because he had the best makeout. And they couldn't give one to Sean, because he already had one. So Chris is freaking out. It's a freak show. He needs major freak out control. He was shaking like a freaking washing machine
like
on
a
spin.
chihuahua.
Yes.
He was doing the Verdell.
He was doing the Verdell. Then she gets to the final rose, and he's like, I need to talk to you. And they run off, and he is just a wreck. And you know she didn't want to give the rose to him. You know she didn't.
I don't know. I think it was all a production thing. They made it a big deal, but I think the other guy was going anyway.
Did you see how upset she looked when she had to give him the rose?
I don't think she had to.
They probably told her, hey, give it to him. And she was like, ugh, I don't want to meet his family.
I don't know.
I don't want to meet his family. He's a freak.
I think she just wishes there was only 3 left.
Exactly. That too. And John was shocked because he was all full of himself because he doesn't realize what a real date is.
He shreds data for a living. What do you expect?
I know. Put another paper in the shredder. All right, so he got shredded. Next week, it's her turn to freak out. She's like, oh, Chris, I don't know. Time got away from me. Now I don't know what to do. Meh. And she's got no makeup on, so you know it's big cry fest. She knows who she's going to pick, and I think she's upset that she's stuck leading these guys on for another couple weeks because she doesn't know how to put her foot down and say, look, I can't do this.
I think when you get down to the final weeks, you do know, and you don't want to lead anybody. It's upsetting.
It is upsetting.
If you have any kind of a conscience.
Well, she shouldn't be making out with everybody then. But she likes it.
It's for ratings, they have to.
All right. Till next week. Much love.